So hi there students, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for this particular video lesson, ang pag-uusapan natin ay pag-illustrate ng polynomial equations. So kung matatandaan nyo, pinag-aralan natin yung division of polynomials. So diniscuss ko kung ano ang polynomial, kung ano ang process ng pag-divide ng polynomial using different methods. Tsaka yung theorems din. So dito, ang pag-aaralan natin is about polynomial equations na. So let's start. So our lesson objectives are, first, we will review polynomials, of course. Bago tayo magpunta sa polynomial equations, mahalaga na alam nyo muna o ma-recall nyo ang polynomials. After nun, illustrate natin yung polynomial equations. And then, we will write polynomial equations in general form. And finally, we will identify the leading term, the leading coefficient, and the degree of the polynomial equation. So what is a polynomial? A polynomial expression p of x is an expression of the form a sub n x raised to n plus a sub n minus 1 x raised to n minus 1 plus a sub n minus 2 x raised to n minus 2 up to a sub 1 x plus a sub 0, where a sub n is not equal to 0, where n is a non-negative integer called the degree of the polynomial, and coefficients a sub 0, a sub 1, up to a sub n are real numbers. Okay, so wherein n is a non-negative integer. So, kailangan po kapag polynomial, non-negative integer, ibig sabihin po kailangan positive po yung mga exponents. So, hindi po tinatanggap dito yung mga negative exponents. So, let's have examples of polynomials. Number 1, 3x to the 4th power minus 2x cubed plus 7x squared plus x minus 15. As you can see, yung mga exponents or powers ng ating mga terms ng given polynomials ay puro mga positive. So, this is a polynomial. So, let's identify the leading term. So, the leading term po, ibig sabihin po ng leading term is yung term na nasa unahan. Okay, so the leading term for this given polynomial is 3x to the 4th power. If the leading term is 3x to the 4th power, therefore the leading coefficient is 3. Okay. What about the constant term? So the constant term is usually written at the end of every polynomial. So the constant term is negative 15. So yung constant term, wala po siyang variable. And then of course, the degree, the polynomial is the highest degree. So ang degree po natin dito is 4. Next, what about negative 7x to the 5th power plus 11x to the 4th power minus 2x cubed plus 5x squared plus 9x plus 8. So, yung leading term po natin dito is negative 7x to the 5th power. And then, yung leading coefficient naman natin is negative 7. So, the leading coefficient po, yung pong numerical coefficient ng leading term. Next, yung constant term naman po natin is 8. What about the degree? So, the degree is the highest degree among the terms of the given polynomial, and that is 5. What else? 2x cubed plus 6x squared minus square root of 3x plus 20. Okay, so the leading term is 2x cubed. And then the leading coefficient is 2. What about the constant term? So the constant term is 20. And then the degree of the polynomial is 3. So number 4, as you can see, yung mga numerical coefficients ng ibang terms natin dito is mga fractions. So, wala pong problema kung yung mga numerical coefficients po natin ay fractions, as long as yung mga powers or exponents ay positive. So, bawal po dito yung negative as well as yung mga fractional exponents. So the leading coefficient or leading term, the given polynomial is negative 2/3 x to the fifth power. What about the leading coefficient? The leading coefficient is negative 2/3. The constant term is written at the end of every polynomial expression, and that is 27. What about the degree? So the degree is the highest degree among the terms, and that is 5. So if we have examples of polynomials, we also have examples of non-polynomials. Number 1, 3x raised to negative 4 plus 2x cubed minus 11x squared plus 10. So paano naging non-polynomials to? It's because dun sa exponent na negative 4. Again, based sa definition ng polynomials, kailangan po yung n, yung exponent or powers, dapat non-negative integer. So kailangan lagi pong positive. So, number 1 is not a polynomial. Next, number 2, negative 5x raised to the 4th power plus 8x squared plus 9 square root of x plus 17. So, ang number 2 naman po, paano siya naging non-polynomial? It's because dun po sa square root of x. So, kapag ang square root of x, tinransform natin siya as exponential form. In an exponential form, magiging ganito po siya, x raised to 1/2. Again, bawal po ang fractional exponents. So, kailangan po non-negative integers lang po. Kahit na hindi siya negative, fractional naman siya. And yung mga integers po kasi kailangan whole numbers po sila. And last example, 4 over x cubed minus 2 over x squared minus 1 over x plus 6. So, kapag nire-write po natin yan, magiging ganito po siya. 4x raised to negative 3 minus 2x raised to negative 2 minus 1 or minus x raised to negative 1 plus 6. As you can see, yung mga terms natin, yung mga exponents nila or powers nila ay puro mga negative. So, hindi po pwedeng maging polynomials yung mga yan. Let us now define polynomial equation. So, a polynomial equation is an equation if both sides of the equation are polynomial expressions. So, usually, kapag polynomial equation ang pinag-uusapan natin, nakikita natin yung equal symbol. Okay? So, wherein, merong polynomial expression na nasa left side, and then usually, ang polynomial expression na nasa right side ay 0. So, let's have examples of polynomial equations. First, 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. So, this is a linear equation because the highest degree is 1. Next, x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. So, this is an example of quadratic equation because the highest degree is 2. Next, 4x cubed plus 6x squared plus 8x minus 9 is equal to 0. So, this is a cubic polynomial equation because the highest degree of the given equation is 3. Next, negative x to the 4th power plus x cubed minus 11x squared plus 7x plus 17 is equal to 0. So as you can see, the highest degree is 4. So this is an example of quartic polynomial equation. And finally, 3x to the 5th power minus 8x cubed plus 12x minus 2 is equal to 0 is an example of quintic polynomial equation wherein the highest degree is 5. So usually, makikita natin yung highest degree sa leading term, yung nauunang term. So take note, exponents of every term of polynomials are non-negative and integral. Also, variables should not be included as radicands. So, lahat po ng exponent ng bawat term ng isang polynomial equation ay non-negative. So, kapag non-negative, it means positive dapat yung exponent. Aside from that, integral, ibig sabihin, whole number. Okay? So, hindi po siya pwedeng maging negative ang exponent at the same time, hindi rin po pwedeng maging fractional exponent. And then, variables should not be included as radicands. So, yung mga variables like x, so hindi sila pwedeng isulat ng nakapaloob sa radical symbol dun sa may square root or kung ano man yung index. Pero yung numerical coefficient ng variable na yun pwede. So let's have examples of non-polynomial equations. First, x raised to negative 3 plus 2x squared plus 7x minus 3 is equal to 0. So bakit non-polynomial equation ang ating first example? So it's because yung degree po kasi ng leading term natin is negative 3. So based sa definition ng polynomial, kailangan non-negative. So negative 3 is a negative integer. So hindi po pwedeng maging polynomial equation to. Next, 2x to the 4th power minus 9x cubed plus 2x raised to 1/2 minus 5x plus 11 is equal to 0. So, bakit non-polynomial equation to? It's because yung exponent po ng 2x is 1/2 and 1/2 is a fraction. So, bawal pong magkaroon ng fractional exponent yung isa man sa mga term ng isang polynomial or polynomial equation. Next, 5x cubed plus 12x squared minus 3 square root of x plus 16 is equal to 0. So, for number 3, so bakit non-polynomial equation siya? It's because of square root of x. Dahil ang square root of x, pag transform siya into exponential form, magiging x raised to 1/2 siya. And remember, hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng fractional exponent ang isang equation. So kahit pa yung ibang terms, positive yung exponent, na negative, integral, as long as meron dun sa mga terms na nag-violate dun sa definition ng polynomial and polynomial equations, we can never consider that given as polynomial or polynomial equations. Next, 1 over x to the 5th power plus 2 over x to the 4th power plus 3 all over x cubed minus 4 over x squared plus 5 over x minus 6 is equal to 0. So as you can see, wala naman tayong nakikitang negative exponent. Siyempre, yung mga variable nasa denominator. Okay. Pero kapag ang 1 over x to the 5th power, tinransform natin yan. Ang 1 over x to the 5th power kasi, equivalent siya sa x raised to negative 5. So, tandaan, sa law of exponent, kapag negative yung exponent, kailangan po nating ilipat sa denominator para maging positive. So yung x raised to negative 5, equal po siya sa 1 over x to the 5th power. Kaya ang ating example number 4 is a non-polynomial equation. So I hope naging clear yung difference between polynomial equations and non-polynomial equations. So writing polynomial equations in general form. So paano natin masasabi na ang isang given equation ay nakasulat sa general form? So in writing polynomial equations in general form, make sure that the right side is equal to 0. So masasabi natin ang isang polynomial equation ay nasa or nakasulat sa general form kapag yung right side is equal to 0. So walang ibang expression or term na nasa right side maliban sa 0. And then, terms on the left side should be arranged in decreasing power. So kapag sinusulat natin yung polynomial equations sa general form, make sure yung mga terms naka-arrange in decreasing power. Ibig sabihin ng decreasing power, pababa. Okay, so pababa po yung mga exponents. So again, kailangan pa rin natin isaalang-alang dito yung mga kondisyon para maging polynomial equations. Dapat non-negative yung exponents, integral, and then dapat yung variable hindi siya nakapaloob sa radicand. So hindi siya nag-act as radicand. So let's have the first activity. write the following polynomial equations in general form. So, para mas maintindihan nyo yung general form ng polynomial equations, let's have this activity. So, let's have number 1, 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 8 is equal to 6x. So, paano natin masasabi na hindi nakasulat ito sa general form? Wherein yung nasa left side, naka-arrange yung terms in decreasing power. It's because yung pong term na 6x, yung expression na 6x, ay nasa right side. So, dapat po, sa right side, ang nakasulat lang po dyan is 0. So, walang ibang term. So, ang gagawin po natin, yung 6x, ililipat po natin sa left side. Ang mangyayari po, 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 8. So, para matanggal yung 6x dun sa right side, magsusubtract tayo ng 6x both sides. And then, i-arrange natin yung mga terms na nasa left side. So, magiging 2x cubed minus 4x squared minus 6x plus 8 is equal to 6x minus 6x, that is 0. So, as you can see, yung ating equation ay nakasulat na po sa general form. So, the highest degree is 3, and then 2, 1, and then yung constant term. So, let's have number 2. Negative x squared plus 5x cubed minus 8x plus 4 is equal to 0. So, yung sa right side ng ating given equation ay 0. So, paano naging equation natin ay hindi nakasulat sa general form? So, it's because, yun po kasing negative x squared tsaka 5x cubed, kailangan po natin silang pagpalitin ng pwesto. It's because, kapag general form nga po, kailangan yung mga terms nakasulat in decreasing power. So, mas mataas po kasi yung exponent na 3 sa 2. So, magiging 5x cubed minus x squared minus 8x plus 4 is equal to 0. So, ayan. Nakasulat na po yung mga terms in decreasing power. So, for our last example, negative 7x plus 8x cubed plus 9x to the 4th power equals negative x squared plus 2. So, obviously, may mga expressions tayo sa right side. Yung negative x squared plus 2 na kailangan po natin tanggalin sa right side para maidala sa left side. So, ang mangyayari, negative 7x plus 8x cubed plus 9x to the 4th power and then negative x squared. So, mag-add po tayo ng x squared both sides. And then, plus 2. So, magma-minus po tayo ng 2 both sides. So, and then equal 0. Next, final answer na ba? Hindi. Yung po kasing mga terms na nasa left side, kailangan po nating i-arrange. So, yung highest degree natin dito is 4. So, yung leading term natin is 9x to the 4th power, followed by 8x cubed, and then x squared. So, ang decreasing powers pababa, madali lang naman. So, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, depende po sa given exponents or powers ng ating equation. Minsan po kasi, hindi kumpleto, hindi siya pababa. Like for example, 5, and then 2 na siya, and then constant term. So, ang mahalaga lang po naman, ma-arrange natin sila in decreasing powers, pababa. So, hindi natin ina-arrange yung mga terms in increasing power, pataas, kundi pababa. And then after x squared, minus 7x. So, kapag sinulat lang po natin is 7x, hindi natin in-attach yung negative. So, mali po yun. And then, finally, yung constant term natin, minus 2, is equal to 0. So, you can see, nakasulat na po yung ating equation in general form. For the next activity, complete the table by identifying the leading term, leading coefficient, and degree of the following polynomial equations. So, paano natin ma-identify yung leading term? Kailangan po yung ating polynomial equation ay nakasulat sa general form. So, in decreasing powers. And then, after natin ma-arrange yun, mabilis na lang pong i-identify yung leading term. So, hindi po na kasi natin ma-identify yung leading coefficient kung hindi nakasulat yung equation in general form. And then, yung degree, makikita pa rin naman natin yan. So, hindi natin kailangan i-arrange yung equation in general form para ma-identify yung degree. So, para lang mas formal, mas organized, i-arrange natin yung mga terms in decreasing powers. So, let's have number 1. 3x plus 5 is equal to 0. So, by the way, ang ating mga given equations, naka-arrange na po in general form. So, mas madali na lang pong i-identify yung leading term, leading coefficient, and degree. So, let's have 3x plus 5 is equal to 0. So, the leading term is 3x. And then, the leading coefficient is 3. So, usually, yung leading coefficient na tinutukoy dito is yung numerical coefficient. And then, the degree is 1. It's because linear equation nga. Next, negative x squared minus 9x plus 11 is equal to 0. So, the leading term is negative x squared. So, since negative yung sign ng ating leading term, yung leading coefficient po natin, negative din po. So, ano ang leading coefficient ng negative x squared? That is negative 1. And then the degree is 2. Next, number 3, 6x cubed plus x squared minus 19x plus 8 is equal to 0. So, the leading term is, obviously, 6x cubed. And then, the leading coefficient is 6. The highest degree, or the degree of the given equation is 3. Number 4, negative 2x to the 4th power plus 8x cubed minus 5x minus 4 is equal to 0. So, the leading term is negative 2x to the 4th power. And then the leading coefficient is negative 2. What about the degree? 4. Then finally, x to the 5th power minus 11x to the 4th power minus 3x squared plus 9 is equal to 0. So, the leading term is x to the 5th power. And then the leading coefficient, the numerical coefficient of x to the 5th power is 1. And then the degree is 5. So, mabilis lang naman ang pagsulat ng degree. It's because makikita mo na agad yun dun sa leading term. So, by the way, wala po tayong 1x. Wala pong negative 1x. So, understood po kapag x po ang numerical coefficient ay 1. Kapag naman negative x, negative 1 po yung numerical coefficient. So, I hope naging clear po yung ating discussion regarding the illustration of polynomial equations. So, after discussing the introduction of polynomial equations, our next video lesson has something to do with determining the roots of polynomial equations.